Right, so this is going to be a bit of an unusual afternoon twist. This Sunday after Valentine's Day. Well, after Valentine's week, we don't have any opening music. And I'll just get straight into it. I'm Psycho Bagpuss. This is the afternoon twist. This is CB Radio Drama 3. Home of the Rebel Outlaw crew, the ROC. My co-host is Kayla. I'll go straight over to Kayla for the first of many stories that she has for you. Over to Kayla.
Alright, my first story for everybody is about Frank Robinson. Baseball's fearsome trailblazer dies at 83. Crowding the plate, fearsome and fearless Frank Robinson hammered his way into the Hall of Fame. His legacy, however, was cemented that day in 1975 when he simply stood in the dugout at Old Cleveland Stadium, the first black manager in Major League Baseball. Robinson, the only player to earn the MVP award in both leagues and a Triple Crown winner, died last Thursday at 83. He had been in failing health and in hospice care at his home in the Bel Air section of Los Angeles. MLB said he was with family and friends at the time. Robinson hit 586 home runs. He was fourth on the career list behind only Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and Willie Mays when he retired, and now ranks 10th. An MVP with Cincinnati and Baltimore, he led the Orioles to their first World Series championship in 1966. An all-star outfielder in 12 seasons and a first ballot selection to Cooperstown, Robertson also was a Rookie of the Year, a Gold Glove outfielder, and a bruising runner. But his place in the sports history extended far beyond the batter's box and base paths. Robinson fulfilled his quest to become the first African-American manager in the big leagues when he was hired by the Cleveland Indians. His impact was immediate and memorable. The Reds, Orioles, and Indians have retired his number 20 jersey and honored him with statues at their stadiums.
Okay, so over to anybody on channel that wants to comment on that story. Please key up within 5 or 6 seconds or I will move on. Okay, my first story. Mystery surrounds spiral-shaped cloud spotted by a walker. Stories by Joe Smith. Experts have been left scratching their heads over a mysteriously shaped spiral cloud. The spiral cloud, like moisture, resembles a vapor trail from a jet or a rocket launch, but everyone from university weather experts to MOD, which is Ministry of Defence, are being left baffled by the peculiar event. The picture was taken by David Hargrave from Sidbury Hill on Salisbury Plain on Tuesday night. Walking his dogs, he suddenly noticed the vapour, which appeared to have been tainted red by the setting sun. He said it was about 30 miles west of where he was, in the direction of Westbury, at the northwestern edge of Salisbury Plain. Land nearby is a Ministry of Defence testing range where heavy weapons are trialled and soldiers regularly train. Calls to the University of Bristol and Somerset drone experts, Atticus, have been made, but no one is any the wiser as to what exactly it was. The Defence Infrastructure Organisation, part of Ministry of Defence, which operates the planes, is not aware of any military training which could have caused it. Mr. Hargrave, 66, said he had never seen anything like it, adding, "I haven't got a clue what it is either. Hopefully someone out there will have an answer. It is a mystery." And I will post the picture in Zello for you to have a look at. But over to Kayla for the next story.
How's everybody doing out there on CB Radio Drama Free? What's going on?
Kayla, do you want to continue with your next story?
All right. My next story is about the Supreme Court blocking Louisiana abortion law from taking effect. The Supreme Court last Thursday blocked a Louisiana abortion access law from going into effect for now, dealing a victory to opponents of the law who argued it could decimate safe and legal abortions in the state. The order was 5-4, with Chief Justice John Roberts joining the court's 4 liberals voting for the stay. New conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote a dissent. Louisiana's Unsafe Abortion Protection Act has been blocked since its enactment in 2014, and like a similar Texas law the court previously struck down, requires a doctor to have admitting privileges at a hospital within 30 miles of the facility where the abortion is performed. Louisiana argues that the law is necessary to provide a higher level of physician competence, but critics say there is no medical justification for the law and it amounts to a veiled attempt to unlawfully restrict abortion. The Center for Reproductive Rights in Louisiana's law would leave only one doctor at a single clinic in New Orleans to perform the procedure, a drastic limitation that cannot possibly meet the needs of approximately 10,000 women who seek abortion in Louisiana each year. The Supreme Court's 2016 ruling in a case called Whole Women's Health said requiring abortion doctors to have hospital admitting privileges was medically unnecessary, given that only a tiny fraction of abortions in the first trimester require hospitalization. By contrast, the Texas law caused half the abortion clinics in the state to shut down, forcing women to endure longer travel and increased wait times. It was the most important abortion ruling in 25 years and blocked similar restrictions in Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Wisconsin.
Okay, abortion, a very hot topic. It has people have got views on it. I'm firmly in the camp of mothers' rights, really. But moving on. Here's what Brits get up to on Sundays by Paul Miles. Okay, so all the Brits out here, see if you can recognise something that you can do from this list. Right, scoffing a roast dinner, recovering from a hangover are among the top 30 things Brits get up to on Sundays. A survey of 2,000 Brits revealed our typical Sunday habits, which include enjoying a roast with all the trimmings and going on a long walk. The study carried out by CompareTheMarket.com also revealed Brits will have 4 hours and 42 minutes of downtime during a typical Sunday, but less than 1 in 5 find the time to sort out overdue life admin skills. Life admin skills. It also emerged more than half are conscious they would make more of sofa Sundays by carrying out jobs on their to-do list. The study also found almost 1 in 2 Brits prioritise making the most of their free time over anything else on Sunday. And 43% think Sundays are primarily for relaxing and recharging after a hard week. Nearly 1 in 10 people surveyed believe Sunday afternoon should be spent in the pub. Well, 1 in 7 think it's the perfect day for doing a big food shop. Other activities people also enjoyed on the so-called day of rest included reading a book, listening to music and doing some gardening. Right, the top 30 things. Okay, have a roast dinner, go for a walk, watch a film on TV, clean the house, visit friends and family, do some laundry, read a book, have a lie-in, that's me, definitely, listen to music, mow the lawn or do some gardening, sort out life admin like dealing with bills, that's not me, take a nap, that's me again, watch TV in bed, yeah, binge watch a box set, no, go out for a meal, do a big food shop, wash the car, go to the pub, prep meals for the week ahead. Oh, come on, seriously? Have breakfast in bed, go to the cinema, play a board game, recover from a hangover, go clothes shopping, go to church, do work prep ahead of Monday, go to the gym, check work emails, go for a run, and do yoga. Well, that pretty much covers everything, surely, apart from look after the kids, but you do that every day, not just Sundays. And, yes, there was definitely a few there that I do. No, yoga, not yogurt. Yoga. Oh dear. Yogurt's too healthy. It's more healthy than yoga anyway. Okay. Am I going to get some more comments on this? Are people actually going to key up?
Very busy person. You got your life stretched out. When is it time to sleep?
Yeah, that's a survey of the top 30 things Brits like to do on Sundays. Okay, Kayla. And your next story, please.
Right, the next story I have is police seizes almost 7,000 pounds worth of cannabis from a truck. The company says it's all legal. Idaho State Police says it seized 6,701 pounds of illicit marijuana from a truck passing through the state last month. The Colorado company that bought the plants in Oregon says it's legal hemp. but the truck driver caught in the middle is now facing felony marijuana trafficking charges. Rolling into the East Boise point of entry way station on January 24th, a tractor-trailer was stopped by an Idaho state trooper to conduct a routine inspection. The truck's bill of loading listed the goods being hauled as hemp. The officer opened up one of the 31 shipping bags in the rig and, using a narcotic identification kit, tested a sample that came back positive for THC, the mind-altering chemical in marijuana. The driver was immediately arrested and charged with felony trafficking of marijuana. Court records indicate he spent 4 days in jail after the arrest. His attorney told CNN the driver was released after posting a $100,000 bond. Idaho's mandatory minimum laws dictate that because he was carrying more than 25 pounds of what Idaho deems as marijuana, the truck driver, if found guilty, will serve at least 5 years in prison and pay up to $15,000 in fines.
Okay. So, I'm just wondering whether or not that was off to the dispensary where Granny goes. Because maybe that's just a week's supply. Right. Another one for the British people out there. It's Crackerback. Kids TV classic to be revived by Joel Taylor. Right, Crackerjack is to return to TV 35 years after it was cancelled. The retro classic will be shown on CBBC on Fridays, with duo Sam and Mark taking on the mantle of legendary presenters such as Leslie Crowther and Stu Francis. 10 episodes to be filmed at Media City, Salford, with the usual studio audience of excited youngsters, will air next year and be available on iPlayer. The show often used to begin with "It's Friday, it's 5 o'clock, it's Crackerjack," but the Beeb said the new transmission time was yet to be fixed. And that is Crackerjack. I used to watch that when I was growing up. Yes. So, any comments about that? Alan? Did you watch Crackerjack when you were young?
I didn't. I watched his one when it before it went off air, so we just need that brought back, and we've got the whole set.
Yeah, Tiz was in the multicoloured swap shop. Yes. Okay, Kayla. Let's have your next exciting story. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, can't do that right now. All right, my next story is about a hole opening up under an Antarctic glacier big enough to fit 2/3 of Manhattan. Scientists have discovered an enormous void under an Antarctic glacier, sparking concern that the ice sheet is melting faster than anyone had realized, and spotlighting the dire threat posed by rising seas to coastal cities around the world, including New York City and Miami. The cavity under Thwaites Glacier in West Antarctica is about 6 miles long and 1,000 feet deep, representing the loss of 14 billion tons of ice. It was discovered after an analysis of data collected by Italian and German satellites, as well as NASA's Operation Icebridge, a program in which aircraft equipped with ice-penetrating radar fly over polar regions to study the terrain. The discovery is described in a paper published January 30th in the journal Science Advances. The researchers expected to see significant loss of ice, but the scale of the void came as a shock. Previous research showed that meltwater from the Wades accounts for about 4% of the global sea level rise, said Ted Scambos, a senior research scientist at the National Snow and Ice Data Center in Colorado, who was not involved with a new study. If the loss of ice becomes so severe the glacier collapses, something computer models predict could happen in 50 to 100 years, sea level would rise by 2 feet. That's enough to inundate coastal cities across the globe. The discovery of the void comes as Scambos and other American and British scientists are gearing up for a major new research initiative. The 5-year International Thwaites Glacier collaboration will use robots and ocean weather stations, as well as more than a dozen seals fitted with sensors designed to collect data about glacial ice and the surrounding water.
Okay, so are you telling me in a couple of years' time I could have an outside swimming pool?
It is global warming. I chalk it up to global warming.
Yeah, that's certainly what it sounds like, that if the problem isn't taken care of shortly, that yes, we're going to have our own outside swimming pools.
There you go, as opposed to putting it down to Mr. Trump saying, hey, bring back global warming, just because it was snowing and there was the Arctic blast. Right, and hello, Mr. Buffalo Tool. Welcome to the afternoon twist. Unlike many people that just sit back and listen, you actually came in and gave us some input. Right, this story, this week's afternoon twist, it's the World Cup winner, Gordon Banks. Yes, we're in the middle of the afternoon twist on CB Radio Drama Free. I'm one of the co-hosts, Psycho Bagpuss. The other co-host is Kayla. It's a show that's on Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right, and the World Cup winner, Gordon Banks, has died at the age of 81. Story by Damien Spellman. Right, England's World Cup winning goalkeeper Gordon Banks has died at the age of 81. So, for the second time, died peacefully overnight. A statement issued by former club Stoke on the Bayer devastating. Banks made 510 league appearances for Chesterfield, Leicester, with whom he won the League Cup in 1964, and Stoke before retiring from professional game at the age of 34, following a road accident which cost him the sight of his right eye, although he later returned briefly to the sport in America. but it was on the international stage that he established himself as a star, making his England debut in a 2-1 defeat by Scotland at Wembley in April 1963, and going on to win 73 senior caps, most famously the 4-2 World Cup final victory in Mexico 4 years later, when he made the logic-defying save that was to define his career, when he somehow managed to turn Brazil star Pele's header over the crossbar. Sir Bobby Charlton, a teammate of Banks in 1966 World Cup triumph, said on Manchester United's Twitter account, "Gordon was a fantastic goalkeeper, and I was proud to call him a teammate. He will be deeply missed, and our thoughts are with his family at this very sad time." Sir Geoff Hurst, who scored a hat-trick against West Germany in the 1966 final, said, "Very sad to hear the news that Gordon has died. One of the very greatest, thinking especially of Ursula, Julia, Wendy and Robert. Sad for football, Stoke City and for England fans. Will be very sadly missed." England manager Gareth Southgate said on Football Association website, "I am deeply saddened to hear of Gordon's passing. An all-time great for England. I was privileged enough to be in his company on a number of occasions. It was particularly special to be with him at a football writers' tribute dinner last year, and wish him moments like that from his remarkable World Cup winning career will continue to linger long in the memory. On behalf of everyone connected with England, I send my condolences to his wife Ursula, his family and friends." Banks, who was survived by his wife and their children, had served as Stoke's club president since 2000, and Chairman Peter Coates paid tribute to a man who helped the Potters win the League Cup in 1972. He was also a keen advocate of our city, which he made his adopted home, and he will be sadly missed by local people from all walks of life, not just football fans. Presenter and former England star Gary Lineker tweeted, "Oh no, Gordon Banks, an absolute hero of mine, and countless others, has died at England's World Cup winner. Was one of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, and such a lovely, lovely man." Ex-England striker Michael Owen tweeted, "Sad to hear Gordon Banks has passed." Peter Shilton, who followed Banks as England #1, told Sky Sports News HQ, "We had a friendship. We were rivals as well, but we had a friendship, and it was just so tragic news that he is finally gone." The German football team's Twitter account posted an image of Banks embracing opposition players on the Wembley pitch in 1966. Ex-England midfielder Paul Gascoigne tweeted, "So sorry to hear of the news of my friend Gordon Banks, who passed away a few hours ago." Right. There's a lot of people that posted wishes and memories. Hey, criminal! Everyone, keep your clothes on. What's going on in the text box? And yes, so Alan, your views on Gordon Banks?
Banks should have been knighted. He was absolutely phenomenal. As I said, that save of Pele was always and always has been regarded one of the best saves ever in world football. And it wasn't just the fact that it was a phenomenal save, it was who he was against at the time. He'd be sadly missed, especially from a World Cup winner's point of view. There's not many of them left from the famous 1966 World Cup winning side.
And Psycho Bagpuss, I'll tell you what's going on in the text box. It was that story of the melting icebergs and stuff, and the pools in our yard, and we're planning a big party.
Are there going to be think is in Claire's.
Yeah, Tilly's taking her clothes off. Buffalo Tool's having a nude pool party. Tilly's over there taking her clothes off and has Adam's boxers on her head.
Yeah, I'm taking my clothes off. And OG Claremont want me to take a picture.
She's not taking her clothes off at my house this week.
He's on Claire's. There'll be melons and clams.
Okay. Some oatmeal and prune juice inside of it too. And don't forget bacon.
Hi, April. So you're in the text box. Didn't fancy queuing up? Kayla, can we have your next story while I continue to post the pictures of the Gordon Banks?
Yes, my next story for everybody is about a World War II aircraft carrier discovered intact on the ocean floor, deep in the South Pacific Ocean. Researchers have located the final resting place of the USS Hornet. The World War II aircraft carrier sunk in a 1942 battle with the Japanese Navy. The aircraft carrier was located in late January by the research vessel RV Petrel in waters nearly 17,500 feet deep around the Solomon Islands. Because of the ocean depth where it was located, the entire ship shows little sign of deterioration or buildup from ocean life. Close-up underwater images capture the moment in time shortly after the carrier sunk, the night of October 26, 1942, during the two-day Battle of Santa Cruz Island. One image shows an aircraft tug with its black rubber tires still gripping the carrier's deck, where it would have moved aircraft into position. A sign with the tug's maker, International Harvester, is clearly visible atop its engine. Also visible are the anti-aircraft weapons used to fend off the intense bombardment from Japanese aircraft. In the end, the resulting fires and damage to the ship from the bombs dropped by Japanese planes were too much, and the Hornet's 2,000-strong crew was forced to abandon ship. After U.S. Navy ships tried without success to scuttle the ship, the carrier was finally sunk by 4 torpedoes fired by 2 Japanese destroyers. 111 sailors from the Hornet's crew lost their lives in the battle.
I do like a bit of military history, especially when it comes down to planes. Lancasters, Herculeses, Spitfires, and there are many a plane enthusiast out there. Okay. Right, my next story. Dr. Evil, tattooist who cut off a client's nipple, admits grievous bodily harm. A tattooist calling himself Dr. Evil has admitted causing grievous bodily harm to 3 customers by cutting off a nipple and an ear and splitting a tongue. Brendan McCarthy, who ran Dr. Evil's body modification emporium in Wolverhampton, changed his pleas to guilty after a 2-year legal saga in which he unsuccessfully claimed customers' consent gave him a lawful defense. The 50-year-old bailed for sentencing on March 21st, removed the ear at his studio in 2015 without anaesthetic. 3 years after he split a woman's tongue with a scalpel and cut off a third customer's nipple. Mr. McCarthy first appeared at Wolverhampton Crown Court in 2017 and denied 6 counts relating to the 3 procedures. Appeal court judges throughout his case saying, those seeking body modifications of the sort we are concerned with in this appeal invited the appellant to perform irreversible surgery without an anaesthetic, with profound long-term consequences. Crown Prosecutor Rhiannon Jones said this case confirms the existing law that surgical procedures must be carried out by properly trained, qualified and regulated surgeons or healthcare professionals. Eek! Horror story from a tattoo studio. Any views on that?
Now, I'm assuming the customers did not pay for these services?
Oh, I'm assuming that you didn't go in and say, yes, I want an ear cut off. My word. Where do they come up with these ideas? And, I've seen the fork to tongue done before, but that was by somebody that wanted to look like a snake, a rattlesnake.
Well, without their nipples, they won't have to worry about going out into the cold anymore.
Well, now there's piercing, but that's going to the extreme. Total removal. Oh yeah, I'll just pop this in the jar and put it on when I go out. Kayla, over to you.
All right, I think it's time for some questions. All right, as usual, you can either key up an answer or use the text box, and these are fairly easy questions. All right, question 1. Who is the legendary Benedictine monk who invented champagne?
Psycho Bag Puss.
Brother, you're from champagne.
The stare. Big.
All right, question number 2. Name the largest freshwater lake in the world.
Dom Perignon.
Superior.
Lake Michigan.
Lake Erie.
Yes, it is Lake Superior. Very good. All right, question 3. What is someone who shoes horses? What are they called?
A farrier.
Al Bundy.
Yep, farrier.
Blacksmith.
Buffalo tool.
It is a farrier. Very good. All right, question 4. What item of clothing was named after its Scottish inventor?
The thong.
That would be the kilt, right?
Kilt.
Yes, it's a kilt. A true Irishman don't wear underwear with a kilt.
Kelly's pillow after she's done sleeping and drooling all night.
It's a Macintosh. I don't know if that's the same thing as a kilt, but yes. Anyway, question 5. Name the 7th planet from the sun.
Uranus.
Uranus or Uranus, whichever way you want to pronounce it.
No, it's not Uranus, it's my anus.
It's Jupiter.
There's too many anuses here.
Uranus.
Planet of the Apes.
It is Uranus. They're Buffalo Tool. I don't know. Anyway, who invented the rabies vaccination?
Marco Polo.
Buffalo tool on Uranus.
I did when I married my ex-wife.
How's the abomination of Oog?
I think I did when I had that other girlfriend.
We just needed the vaccination.
GlaxoSmithKline.
Chanel number 5.
She didn't say crabs, buffalo too. She said rabies shot.
It was Louis Pasteur. I don't know. All right, question 7. Name the world's biggest island.
The island of Buffalo.
Louis Pasteur. The same one that came up with pasteurization.
Japan?
The island of bacon.
Australia.
Antarctica.
It's apparently Greenland. All right, question 8. What is the world's longest river?
The Nile.
I-C-U-P.
Nile.
It's the Nile.
Is it the Tigris?
Yeah, I think it's the Nile or the Yangtze.
No, the Amazon.
No, it's the Nile.
Actually, Psychobagapus is correct. It's the Amazon. All right, this one is an easy one. Name the world's largest ocean.
The Gulf of Mexico.
Pacific.
Atlantic.
Indian Ocean.
I was in Pacific. I said Gulf of Mexico.
Indian. No, that's a river. Pacific.
Haba.
It is the Pacific. All right, question number 10. What is the capital city of Spain?
Madrid.
Lisbon.
Orlando.
Orlando.
Uranus.
Very good, Eagle Mama. It is Madrid. All right, that is the questions for this week. Very good, everybody.
Smarty pants, Miss Bacon over there.
Hey, leave her alone.
Yay, I got one.
Yeah, what is smarty pants?
Just wait till I come over there. Better watch it.
Dirk Diggler, you're disgusting.
Okay. So that is the end of the questions for this week then. NSPCC, National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, find social networks for harmful content. Social networks such as Facebook should face large fines if they fail to remove harmful content that is a risk to children, says the NSPCC. The child protection charity wants to see tough duty of care laws imposed on social networks, with fines of up to £17.5 million, or 4% of the company's annual global turnover, whichever is higher. For Facebook, it would mean a fine of £1.7 billion, based on its latest turnover results of £43.3 billion. Named directors should also be held liable for upholding a legal duty of care to children, banning them from other directorial roles if found to be in breach. The NSPCC sets out in its regulation proposals. Its chief executive, Peter Wanless, said, "Today we stand at an absolute crucial moment in a long battle to protect children from harm, abuse and grooming online. Over the last decade, self-regulation has tried and found wanting, time and time again." So that's that story, a little short story. But a lot of money could be involved if they manage to pass that through. Kayla, do you want to move on to this week in history and birthdays?
All right, sounds good to me. All right, for this week in history, in 1967, the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified, clarifying the procedures for presidential succession in the event of the disability of a sitting president. In 1999, the impeachment of President Bill Clinton in the U.S. Senate ended, with the whole world watching by TV. Senators stood up one by one during the final roll call to vote guilty or not guilty on Article 1, charging Clinton with perjury. 55 senators, including 10 Republicans and all 45 Democrats, voted not guilty on Article 2, charging Clinton with obstruction of justice. The Senate split evenly, 54 and 50 against the president. With a necessary two-thirds majority not having been achieved, President Clinton was acquitted on both charges and served out the remainder of his term of office, lasting through January 20th, 2001. In 1945, during World War II, in Europe, British and American planes began massive bombing raids on Germany. A 4-day firestorm erupted that was visible for 200 miles and engulfed the historic Old City, killing an estimated 135,000 German civilians. In 1849, photographer Matthew Brady took the first photograph of a U.S. president in office, James Polk. Then an assassination attempt on newly elected U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt occurred in Florida. A spectator deflected the gunman's aim. Soviet Russia completed its military withdrawal from Afghanistan after 9 years of unsuccessful involvement in the civil war between Muslim rebel groups and the Russian-backed Afghan government. Over 15,000 Russian soldiers had been killed in the fighting. In 1852, the first flushing lavatory for women opened in London. In 1929, the 109 acres of the Vatican in Rome was made an independent sovereign state under the Lateran Treaty. In 1975, Margaret Thatcher became the first woman leader of a British political party. In 1990, South Africa's black nationalist leader Nelson Mandela was freed from prison after 27 years. In 1779, Captain James Cook, British explorer, was murdered by natives in Hawaii. In 1882, the first shipment of frozen meat left New Zealand for England. All right, and birthdays. American inventor Thomas Edison was born in Ohio. Throughout his lifetime, he acquired over 1,200 patents, including the bulb, phonograph, and movie camera. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th U.S. President, was born in Kentucky. He led the nation through the Civil War, freed the slaves, composed the Gettysburg Address, and established Thanksgiving. Author and naturalist Charles Darwin was born in England, best known for his work, Origin of the Species, concerning the theory of evolution. Astronomer and physicist Galileo Galilei was born in Italy. He was the first astronomer to use a telescope and advance the theory that the sun, not the earth, was the center of the solar system. Susan B. Anthony was born in Massachusetts, a pioneer in women's rights. She worked tirelessly for women's suffrage and in 1872 was arrested for voting in the presidential election. Entertainer and politician Sonny Bono was born in Michigan. Following a career as a popular singer, he became mayor of Palm Springs, California, then became a Republican congressman, serving until his accidental death from a skiing mishap. William Catt is an American film and television actor, best known as the star of the television series The Greatest American Hero. Lisa Loring is an American actress best known for having played Wednesday Addams in the 1964 to 1966 sitcom The Addams Family. And Sarah Clark is an American actress best known as Renee Dwyer or Bella's mother in the film Twilight.
And 1965, Nat King Cole, US singer and pianist, dies of cancer. 1971, Britain changed over to the decimal coinage on Decimal Day. 1981, Football League games were played on a Sunday for the first time. 1842, the first adhesive stamp was used in the US by City Dispatch Post. A private concern later acquired by the government for $1,200. Oh, 1942, Singapore surrendered to Japan. Okay. I got a tech story now for you. Right, smart bed rolls selfish sleepers back to their side of the mattress by Jamie Harris. Yes. Now to actually find the story itself. Oh, crap. Go. Hang on, I'll get back to you on that one. I'm going the wrong way with my photos. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, hello, CD Radio Drama Free Chat. Radio Skip over here saying hello.
Hey, Ted, what are you so excited about? What? Taking your clothes off? You texted earlier. What you were talking about, eh? And somebody's gonna be a babysitter? Todd, you're gonna be a babysitter? What's going on? I'm reading these texts over here. Well, it's over there, Skip. What's going on over there, man? These people are texting a lot. What's going on?
Criminal Tilly's going to Bob's next week. Or not Bob's, Todd's. And so she's going to go get babysat all week. So, yeah, she's going to bring her bottles, her night clothes, her bonnet, and car seat, and strollers, and she'll go cruising. You know, yeah.
I'm not sitting no.
Bed rolls selfish sleepers back to their side of the mattress. Ford have invented a prototype bed that automatically rolls sleepers hogging the mattress back to their own side. The car maker has adapted its technology used to keep drivers in the middle of their lane into a concept dubbed the lane keeping bed. It's a bid to help sleep-deprived partners push to the edge of the bed at night. Pressure sensors detect when a person moves from one side of the bed to the other and gently rolls them back to their side with the help of an integrated conveyor belt. The lane keeping bed was created as an exploratory project for the company's technology team, aimed at tackling everyday problems, but it remains a prototype and there are no current plans to put it into the market. When sleeping together, many couples each have less space than a small child has in a single bed, said sleep expert Dr. Neil Stanley. Humans are most vulnerable when sleeping, so we're programmed to wake when something or someone touches us unexpectedly. If someone moves onto your side of the bed, this defense mechanism will kick in and you'll have a broken night, often while they continue to sleep soundly. I've seen it ruin relationships. Lane keeping assist in our cars can make driving easier and more comfortable, added Anthony Ireson, Ford of Europe's Marketing Communication Director. We thought that showing how similar thinking could be applied to a bed would be a great way to highlight to drivers the technology that they might not previously have been aware of. So, a bed that will roll you back to your side of the bed, but it won't stop people from hogging the blankets.
Well, that would be great in our case, and I will admit this. I, Eagle Mama, do solemnly swear that I am the bed hog and I will be the one who needs to be rolled back over onto my side of the bed.
You go, mama. Bacon loving bed hog. Right, we learn something new every day. Kayla, can we have your next story, please?
I have a quick question about the bed thing. What if you're like getting, jiggy with it? Is it going to kick your partner off to the side if she rolls over next to you? Or you roll over next to her? That is the question.
Kayla, would you like to answer that?
I'm sorry. What was the question?
Well, he said that when you roll over, then out in bed automatically rolls you back over so you're not interfering with your partner, right? Well, what if you want to get, jiggy with it? Freaky? Bad to the bone? Would it just roll your partner back over? Or how you going to have fun?
Let's go back. Plus, I think you should answer that one.
What if one partner has cold feet and the other one doesn't? And they stick it on your back or some other place where they shouldn't be? Are you allowed to kick them out of the bed?
That's when you have the bed fitted with an ejector seat. Bye-bye! Okay. Kayla, how many stories have you got left?
Guess you have to call the manufacturer and find out those answers. Yes, find out who did the article and you have to call them. Yes. Get it for the manufacturer. That's all these questions to them.
Yeah, because it's not an answer to my question. Every bed's meant to be a wholesome, comfortable place to, And if they're going to make a bed that makes people roll back over to their own side, where do you start? You just drop from the ceiling and right on top of your partner? Well, that wouldn't be a bad idea. There'd be like Superman coming in and okay, never mind.
I have 9, I think.
You better move on to your next story then.
You just unplug it, Hank. You pull the plug.
All right, my next story is about a Texas man dying after an e-cigarette explodes in his face. A Texas man died after his e-cigarette exploded and cut a major artery in his neck, according to a medical examiner's report. William Brown, 24, went to his local vaping store, Smoking Vape D2, in Fort Worth, Texas on January 29th and never returned, his grandmother Alice Brown told NBC DFW. The vape pen exploded while Brown, a licensed electrician, was in his car parked outside the store. Brown never entered the vape store, according to an employee of Smoking Vape D2, who declined further comment to NBC DFW. The e-cigarette explosion was so strong that it melted the ashtray in Brown's car, his grandmother said. The Tarrant County Medical Examiner's report said Brown died of a cerebral infection and herniation after the vape pen cut open the left artery in his neck. According to his grandmother, doctors performed an x-ray when Brown was brought to hospital and found a metal piece of the vape pen lodged in the back of his neck. Brown is the second person in the U.S. known to have died from an exploding vaporizing pen. A Florida man died last year in a house fire that was started by an exploding vape pen. The FDA recommends making sure your vaping devices have safety features like firing buttons and vent holes to prevent explosions. They also strongly discourage users from charging their vapes overnight. E-cigs are not required to be subjected to product safety testing according to the U.S. Fire Administration.
Okay, I'm going to go into my short stories section. Fracture patients given a wrong metal plates. Up to 5,500 fracture patients could have been fitted with the wrong type of metal plate. Their x-rays are to be reviewed. NHS improvement, and the British Orthopaedic Association announced after finding 7 cases at one hospital trust. The review involved 140 hospitals that have been provided with orthopaedic surgery in England in the past year. Design changes mean stronger dynamic compression plates now look similar to the more flexible reconstruction plates. Over to Kayla.
Alright, JCPenney will no longer sell major appliances or furniture in its stores. JCPenney's is getting out of the appliance business, marking the first major change by new Chief Executive Officer Jill Solto since she joined the struggling department store chain late last year. The company's former CEO, Marvin Ellison, who's new chief executive of Lowe's, brought back appliances in 2016 after the retailer had spent more than 3 decades focusing primarily on soft goods like apparel. He saw an opportunity to get into the business as Sears, which has now filed for bankruptcy, was steadily losing market share. JCPenney said in a blog post last Wednesday that it will no longer sell major appliances in its stores starting February 28th in order to better meet customer expectations, improve financial performance, and drive profitable growth. The company also said that furniture is soon only going to be available online and in select stores in Puerto Rico. Even with Sears shutting down hundreds of stores, which some analysis said would benefit JCPenney, the retailer is still fighting to turn itself around. Within the apparel category, it's been dealing with too much inventory that needs to be discounted in order to move away for new styles. That's weighed on profit margins. JCPenney also still has more than 800 locations across the U.S. today, which is arguably too much real estate as more purchases are being made online. JCPenney said it will provide more details about its decision to get out of the home appliance business when it reports earnings February 28th. That's also when the retailer is supposed to offer details on additional store closures, which many analysts are already anticipating.
Okay. Boiler and drugs farm ruled out in killer blaze. A house fire that killed 4 children was not down to a boiler fault or heaters used in cannabis production. Police have said in response to social media rumours. Riley Holt 8, Keegan Unit 6, Ollie Unit 3 and Tilly Rose Unit 4 died in the February the 5th blaze in Stafford. A woman 24 and a man of 28 have been bailed on suspicion of manslaughter.
Alright, my next story is about notorious drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman being convicted. Mexico's most notorious drug lord was convicted Tuesday of running an industrial-scale smuggling operation after a 3-month trial packed with Hollywood-style tales of grisly killings, political payoffs, cocaine hidden in jalapeno cans, jewel-encrusted guns, and a naked escape with his mistress through a tunnel. Guzman listened to a drumbeat of guilty verdicts on drug and conspiracy charges that could put the 61-year-old escape artist behind bars for decades in a maximum security U.S. prison selected to thwart another one of the breakouts that made him a folk hero in his native country. A jury whose members' identities were kept secret as a security measure reached a verdict after deliberating 6 days in the expensive case. They sorted through what authorities called an avalanche of evidence gathered since the late 1980s that Guzman and his murderous drug cartel made billions in profits by smuggling tons of cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana into the U.S. Evidence showed drugs poured into the U.S. through secret tunnels or hidden in tanker trucks, concealed in the undercarriage of passenger cars and packed and rail cars passing through legitimate points of entry. U.S. Attorney called the conviction a victory for the American people who suffered so much while the defendant poured poison over the borders. He expected Guzman to get life without parole.
Judge seeks help to find camper van girl. A High Court judge has appealed for help finding a girl of 3 abducted by her mum from a dad's home in Australia. Mr. Justice Keenan said he was extremely concerned about Ruby McKay-Oud, thought to be living in a camper van in the UK with her British mum Victoria McKay, 43.
Right, Trump announces national emergency to obtain billions for border wall. President Donald Trump declared a national emergency Friday and in effect to circumvent Congress and fund the wall he promised to build along the U.S. border with Mexico. We're talking about an invasion of our country with drugs, human traffickers with all types of criminals, and gangs, Trump said in remarks delivered in the White House Rose Garden just before he issued the order. But he seemed to undercut the theme of urgency when he took questions later, telling NBC's Peter Alexander that the move wasn't really necessary. He said he could do the wall over a longer period of time, but he would rather do it much faster. The controversial executive action, which Trump acknowledged would draw lawsuits, came the day after Congress cleared a bill for his signature that prevents a second government shutdown in 2 months and provides just under $1.4 billion for 55 miles of new fencing along the border. Trump has indicated he will sign the bill, which passed with veto-proof majorities in both chambers, despite pressure from some conservatives to veto it because of its limitations on the type and length of barrier that can be built. The emergency declaration could allow him to spend money on barriers from a variety of accounts, including the $1.4 billion in the appropriations bill, if his actions clear legal hurdles.
Right. Complaints about rubbish collections hit 1.8 million. More than 1.8 million complaints were made to councils about uncollected rubbish last year. Households made an average of 4,500 calls every day, a rise of a third on comparable data from 2014, shows research by the BBC. Refuse collection spending fell from $1 billion in 2010-11 to $888 million in 2017-18, according to analysis. The local government association said the figures show 99.8% of the country's 821 million waste collections were completed without complaint.
All right. Payless Shoe Source to shutter all of its remaining U.S. stores. They are shuttering all of its 2,100 remaining stores in the U.S. and Puerto Rico, joining a list of iconic names like Toys R Us and Bon-Ton that have closed down in the last year. The Topeka, Kansas-based chain said Friday it will hold liquidation sales starting Sunday and wind down its e-commerce operations. All of the stores will remain open until at least the end of March, and the majority will remain open until May. The debt-burdened chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in April 2017, closing hundreds of stores as part of its reorganization. At the time, it had over 4,400 stores in more than 30 countries. It reemerged from restructuring 4 months later with about 3,500 stores and eliminated more than $435 million in debt. The company said in an email that the liquidation doesn't affect its franchise operations or its Latin American stores, which remain open for business as usual. It lists 18,000 employees worldwide. Shoppers are increasingly shifting their buying online or heading to discount stores like TJ Maxx to grab deals on name brand shoes. That shift has hurt traditional retailers, even low price outlets like Payless. Heavy debt loads have also handcuffed retailers, leaving them less flexible to invest or business.
Okay. Professor Green fractures neck during seizure. Professor Green has been forced to cancel his UK tour after fracturing his neck in a fall when he suffered a seizure. The rapper, 35, posted a picture on Instagram of himself lying on a stretcher wearing a head brace, telling fans he felt extremely lucky, apologising for cancelling the tour due to starting Cardiff. He vowed, "I will be back in the winter with a bigger tour."
Okay. Snow brings chaos to Missouri roads, with a new storm set to bring more to Midwest and Northeast. A quick-moving storm brought snow to parts of the Central Plains on Friday, including 3 to 5 inches of snow through the Kansas City metro area. The snowfall caused numerous backups and accidents on area roadways. The storm also brought up 2 to 3/10 of an inch of ice to parts of southeast Missouri and western Kentucky on Saturday morning. The storm is quickly racing off to the east coast, with some rain and snow showers from the Carolinas to West Virginia. On Sunday morning, the snow will spread into parts of Chicago and Indianapolis. Accumulations will likely remain on the light side, but 1 to 2 inches could cause issues on area roadways in the early morning hours. The snow will spread eastward by Sunday evening and early Monday into parts of the Northeast before some areas, especially in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, start to see some mixing. A wide swath of 2 to 4 inches of snow is possible for parts of the Midwest, including much of Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and northern Illinois. There will likely be another swatch of 2 to 4 inches of snow in parts of the interior Northeast. The big Northeast city will see light snowfall amounts by Monday from this system.
Right. Bid to mop up DNA with Pepsi falls flat. A burglar who cut himself while breaking into a Pizza Hut returned to the scene of the crime to try and wash away the blood with Pepsi. Closed-circuit TV showed William Trotter, 37, smash into the Sunderland site where he stole a till. Leaving blood at the counter, he went back to splash the Pepsi over it, but the police found DNA. Trotter will be sentenced at Newcastle Crown Court later.
All right, my last story is about a gunman killing 5 people, wounding 5 police officers at Illinois business. An employee of a manufacturing company opened fire at its suburban Chicago plant Friday, killing 5 people and wounding 5 police officers before he was fatally shot, police said. Aurora, Illinois Police Chief Kristen Zeman told a news conference that the gunman was 45-year-old Gary Martin and said he was believed to be an employee at the Henry Pratt Company, which makes valves for industrial purposes in the city about 40 miles west of Chicago. She told reporters that officers arrived within 4 minutes of receiving reports of the shooting and were fired upon as soon as they entered the 29,000 square foot manufacturing warehouse. Hospitals reported treating at least 7 patients from the shooting, though their conditions weren't released. 2 of the officers were airlifted to trauma centers in Chicago. Officials did not say the total number of people injured other than the police officers. Dozens of first responder vehicles converged on the building housing the company in Aurora after police received multiple calls about an active shooter at 1:24 p.m. Several ATF teams also responded to the shooting and were at the scene, according to the agency's Chicago spokeswoman.
Right. Upskirting. Taking an image or photo of a victim under their clothing has now been made a criminal offence, carrying up to 2 years in jail. Ministers intervened after a bill was blocked in June by Tory MP Sir Christopher Chope, and an artificial intelligence has lost out to a human debating champion. IBM's Project Debater was beaten by Harish Natarajan, 31, from London, who argued against the need to subside preschools because it did not solve the root cause of poverty. NATO is planning a response to Russian missile threat. NATO will respond to Russians' violations of a Cold War era treaty, but will not station more nuclear missiles in Europe. Its Secretary General said yesterday the US is leaving the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty signed in 1987 after saying Russia broke it by developing a SSC-8 missile. But John Stoltenberg is urging Moscow to honour the treaty. He said Allied defence ministers meet today to decide what steps NATO should take to adapt to a world with more Russian missiles. Smartphone addiction is hardwired into us as our ancestors' survival depended on trust and cooperation, which is fostered by close relationships with family and friends, says Professor David Sabara of Arizona University. Neanderthals died out largely because of inbreeding, says a study. Spanish scientists analysed remains from bones from 13 cave clan members who lived 49,000 years ago and found 17 birth defects among the fossils. And with that, I bring this week's edition of the Afternoon Twist to a close. Kayla, if you'd like to thank everybody. Okay. Right. Next week's Afternoon Twist will not be airing. There will be no Afternoon Twist next week.
That was my ear.